Hello, my name is Amon Key, and I'm going to be talking to you guys about a TED Talk that I watched called Uber's Plan to Get More People into Fewer Cars. First, I'm going to be telling you guys about the speaker of the TED Talk and also known as co-founder and former CEO of Uber, Travis Kalanick. He was born on August 6, 1976 in Los Angeles, California. He has been an entrepreneur since he was in high school. He has always been business driven, always wanting to reinvent and improve today's society. When creating Uber, Travis wanted to create an app that you were able to find a ride to where you needed to go with just a click of a button to make it very simple. Um, his plan was to reinvent urban transportation as well as suburban transportation, but suburban transportation seems to be taking a lot more time than urban transportation in areas such as New York and Los Angeles. He wanted to take more cars off the street and put more people in less cars. He, when the company originally started, he had 65 employees, but as the company grew, he ended up with 4,500 employees today. Travis created a new way for people who like to drive to make money with flexible schedules. They don't have to work on someone else's time. They don't have to work a 9 to 5. They can get up and work whenever they want. When they click the app and set go, they can continue. Once they stop, they can stop whenever they would like. Um, some people use Uber as a full-time job. Some people only do it as a part-time job. It all depends on what you prefer. And it also depends on like what cities you may be in. So if you're in a smaller city that doesn't really have Uber, such as Slippery Rock, you probably won't work a 9 to 5 if you're able to use the app or become a driver. You'll probably work maybe 1 to 2 hours. Someone who's like part time would work over the weekend, such as like Saturday and Sunday, after they've worked their normal job during the week. In the TED Talk, Travis talks about how there was Uber before Uber actually existed. There was a man by the name of L.P. Draper who was a car salesman in Los Angeles where Travis lived, and he created in 1914 what they called Jitney Bus, which is like a day-to-day Uber. He started off with one car and he went around basically just driving people to where they needed to go. And it turns out that a lot of people were interested in having a ride to where they needed to go instead of actually driving themselves each day. Within a year of Draper creating this jitney bus, 55,000 rides were given in Seattle after they found out about what he was doing. 45,000 rides was given in Kansas, and 105 rides was given in Los Angeles. As you can see, LA's amount of rides per day is drastically different. Drastically more than the rides in other states because they are the testing state. It's where he originally created the bus to take people to where they needed to go, so that's why it's more popular there. Jitney Bus, upon creation, had a lot of rules and regulations that were created for the drivers. Regulations became extremely pricey, which caused a lot of issues for both drivers as well as the creator. Rules were required. There were a lot of rules that were required of the drivers that were just a bit too much, such as working 16 hours a day. They made a lot of the drivers sit in their cars for 16 hours a day, even though maybe they didn't have a client to drive somewhere at the time, but they had to be in their car for at least 16 hours a day, and some states required 2 drivers per jitney car. Um, Years went by, regulations continued to come about, new rules were brought in, and eventually the regulations took Jitney completely out of existence within the 5 years that it was created. As Travis and his team conducted research to better improve their Uber app, they discovered that in the United States, 7 billion hours is wasted sitting in traffic just alone. So those hours being spent sitting in traffic has also caused 160 billion hours lost in productivity. So businesses with those hours could have made more profit. Um, Families could have made more money to provide for themselves, things like that. Um, they discovered that 30% of land and space used to store vehicles were being take, were being taken up, which they didn't really have to be because Uber was able to decrease that by providing more people with ways to get to where they needed to go. So they were able to leave their cars at home instead of parking in parking lots all day. Also, skyscrapers were built to lessen the amount of cars being used or stored on flat land just to account for the people that still drove to work and things like that. Um, they wanted, Travis basically wanted more park and recreations than parking lots. Travis then took to another city that was highly populated, which we all know is New York City. It is one of the most densely populated cities in the world, one of the most superb mass transportation systems in the world. They have over 2.5 million cars going in and out of the city each day, which causes a lot of conjunction, and that doesn't really need to be there with Uber being available to us. Um, Uber took to that city to decrease the amount of cars being put into there, also to decrease the amount of pollution that is running through the city. People who live in the same area go to People who live in the same area are able to use Uber's Pool app, which basically, if you have a person that lives next to you and you guys might be going to work and your job is in the same area, Uber has a connection where it allows two separate parties heading in the same direction to ride together. This ultimately allows for 50% cheaper rides and a lot more people in a lot less cars. So, and a lot less traffic. Less than 7.9 million miles have been taken off the road since Uber released their Uber Pool app, as well as 1.4 thousand metric tons of CO2 out of the air, which, as you can probably tell, caused a lot of less pollution in the air. So Uber has been working basically to decrease the amount of pollution, decrease the amount of cars on the road, increase the amount of people that are driving together, carpooling, things like that. Um, some questions that I would have for Uber would be something like, will Uber help to decrease the amount of drunk driving car accidents that occur in the United States as well as in other countries? Um, how will how many countries use Uber today, and possibly who or where do you see Uber moving? What countries do you see Uber moving in the future? How long until Uber's self-driving car is able to become a product used worldwide? everyone is looking for this self-driving car that keeps them from having to drive everywhere they need to go and giving them a lot more time to themselves. So this is a good question that I would like to ask Uber as well.